One, two, three.
Hello, and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
There have been times lately when I thought we'd never be together again like this.
But here we are, and it's a wonderful thing. I am your host, Skellbuster.
And what of your men? Or do you care?
I care about my men. And
wait, you have other men? You have other men than me? Is that men implies there's more than just one?
Well, man, then.
How many men?
Mistake of nature.
That's closer.
Possibly those things as well.
That's a closer representation of what I
am. But that today my co-host is Spirit on Drinker.
Yes.
Of course, as always.
as I pull yet another clever name out of my ass at the last possible minute when I'm trying to figure something out while logging into this. I'm like, oh shit, what name am I going to pick today? also probably accurate.
no, that can't.
I love how Lady.
Don't listen to Lady Deathstrike. Yeah,
she's so cartoonishly villainous. It's hilarious. It's so good. It's everything she says is tinged with a tinge of sinisterness. It's just like it's also evil.
Yeah, she's pretty evil.
She's like, you know who Danhausen is, the wrestler?
No.
So in AEW, there's a wrestler called Danhausen who does this old it's almost like a kabuki face paint mixed with like 1950s villainy from like old serials as a wrestling character. It's very weird and strange, but it's kind of funny. And it's similar vibe to what Lady Deathstrike gives off in this for sure.
That's probably where he got it.
It could be. It very well could be. Danhausen, if you're listening and your inspiration comes from Lady Deathstrike.
You probably are. Let's be honest.
Of course. You're obviously some kind of... I mean, obviously, since you based your entire character off an obscure Wolverine villain from a cartoon from the 90s, you must be listening.
Totally our target audience.
If we've won a no prize, let us know. We look forward to seeing it in the mail.
But we are here to review Season 3, Episode 2, Out of the Past, Part 2. Mm-hmm. The opening story of Season 3 here, written by the late, great Len Wein. I think
Lenny Wein, as we call him.
Yes, exactly. Almost spoiled my hand there, but I'll save that for later. Why don't we jump right into it?
Do we have to? I'd rather just talk about bullshit for another 35 minutes. Can we do that?
Okay, I got a segment for bullshit.
No, we don't. We don't need to do that.
Okay.
It's totally fine. You know, enough of my bullshit for 1 week. So, jumping into this week's episode, as I furiously try to get back to the screen I was just on. One moment. Damn it, I had it open. The past part 2, we meet Lady Deathstrike, who, after we saw the last episode, accidentally opened the crashed spaceship that the Morlocks had discovered in their underground lair, if you will. Wolverine uses claws to free her.
Oh my god!
Oh, you didn't forget them before? Yeah, no, we gotta play that.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. I can't believe you missed that.
Are you in a hurry tonight, Davin?
No, not at all, actually.
No? Wow.
I expect the baby to sleep well. So
Previously on X-Men.
Did you drug the baby? Is that why you're expecting it to sleep well?
Oh no, I would never do that.
Little whiskey?
What's happening?
I don't think I want to know.
Once again,
scary sound.
Relevant, but also really hard to understand out of context.
Well, I mean, if you're tuning into part 2.
That's true. That is the fault of the listener. Yeah, you, the listener.
I did.
That reminds me that's one of my favorite Ken Brockman lines from The Simpsons is when he's like, and I, for one, place the blame for this squarely on you, the listener.
This is Ken Brockman.
When watching this new episode today and watching the actual previously in X-Men part that comes before the episode, We got a few flashes of what I've come to refer to as Wolverine's tender voice, which I find the best when he's like, I loved you once. It's almost like Christian Bale's Batman when he's like, subtly telling someone that they know who he is by quoting a line that they said to him earlier, like with Commissioner Gordon at the end of Dark Knight Rises, or Maggie Gyllenhaal's character in the second one, Rachel Dawes' character in Batman Begins. It's not what I do, or not who I am, but what I do that defines me. That sort of, it gives me a little bit of that vibe, which I find very fun. Yeah, so Wolverine, of course, having previously had a relationship with Yuriko, now known as Lady Deathstrike. And also, who introduces themselves? This is a previous episode note, but also reminded me of it when I saw the previous episode bit when he's like, Yuriko? She's like, I'm Lady Deathstrike now.
Previously on X-Men.
That was Andre's.
Yeah, we're still talking about it, I know. Yeah, totally. But it's like do you not have normal conversations with people? It seems like a formal name. That's like if I met, I don't know, Barack Obama, and I'm like, we're having a casual dinner, and I'm like, hey, Barack, and he's like, I'm Mr. President now. I guess they are enemies, but it's just kind of funny.
You've never called yourself Sir Andre Mayet?
No, I'm not a knight.
Oh, well, we can.
My Instagram handle
do
is
something about that.
Because that.
If any listener has the ability to knight Andre,
I think you have to be British, do you not?
Well,
I think that's like number one prerequisite. Well,
definitely have British.
I don't know if there's any Canadians with the knighthood. I highly doubt it.
Well, we're gonna change that here on the show.
Unless Canada gets its own knightdom, I could be a knight of Trudeau, I guess. I don't know how that works.
A knight of the kitchen table.
Oh, I like that. That was an old comic, was it not?
Night of the Kitchen Table?
Yeah, it was like a comic strip about nerds playing D&D.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
It's the Knights of the Kitchen, something like that. I used to read Dragon magazine when I was a kid, and I never played D&D, but I just liked all the artwork and the the storyline stuff about knights and dragons and that sort of stuff that I was into. So I believe they had a backup cartoon in it that was called that, which I think had its own spin-off volumes. But anyway. Once again, I digress. So back to the episode.
Okay, boys, let's give E.T. a Reaver's welcome.
We get a lot of
a Reaver's welcome.
We get a lot of Australianness here. A lot of good Australian. There's a couple Australian lines. That's the one I was hoping you had because that one's pretty good. A good old Reaver's welcome. All right, we're going to fight this here spear drinker. We're going to fight him real good. My Australian accent could use a little work, but I think it's getting better.
We'd go have a beer and some Vegemite. Sorry, Australian listeners.
Watch out for drop
tease
bears.
Everyone with love.
That's true. Do you know what the unofficial national anthem to Australia is?
No. Is it an AC/DC song? Or Aki Daki, I should say.
No, it's Waltzing Matilda.
Oh, I like Waltzing Matilda. Tom Waits does a great version.
Oh, wow. I should listen to that one. I have a lot of his albums. I don't think I have one with that on it, so I'll have to look it up. I love Tom Waits. He's one of my faves. And nothing else you can connect on. What's your favorite Tom Waits album?
I like his early stuff. I mean, I really love. He has like 3 or 4 phases in my mind, and I
Rain Dogs.
I really like his early stuff, like Closing Time and Blue Valentine.
Blue Valentine's very good.
Yeah.
Mine's Alice. I love Alice.
Alice is good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I really liked Real Gone that came out in the 2000s, though.
Yeah.
Real Gone.
I have a good chunk of them, and I have a couple of his live ones I got to go back and listen to.
If I could see any person live, it would be him.
That would be on my list for sure, 100%, because he's getting up there, so the time would be now. Especially after seeing him in the new Coen Brothers movie on Netflix, Buster Scruggs, he's starting to look like an old man.
Oh yeah,
he's great in it, but he's starting to look like an old man. One of my favorite parts of a very underappreciated movie from the late 90s, Mystery Men. Yeah, he's great in that movie.
Non-lethal weapons.
Non-lethal weapons. And he's like trying to hit the old ladies at the old age home with like the hard candy. So good.
Yeah.
All right. So the Reavers begin to fire at the old. So anyway, Wolverine tries to free Yuriko / open a hole in the side of the ship, which we saw in the last episode, but we kind of get a recap of. Then this
Isn't it funny that our tangent went from Australia to Tom Waits to
I feel like a podcast called Tangent would be interesting, where like you literally it's just tangents. It's just tangents because we could easily do that for
neither of us can go more than 2 sentences without tangenting.
Yeah, like everything has to lead into another subject that's
exactly.
way different. Like nothing can be connected. Once you finish that subject, you got to immediately use that to go on something else. It's like, well, Alice was about Alice in Wonderland, so let's talk about Lewis Carroll, and we'll just go off on that. Well, that's kind of related, but and then
So speaking of Alice in Wonderland, Tom Waits, Alice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. See, and you can go off on that road. Yeah. Speaking of Alice Leopold is a great writer, or Sibold, who wrote The Lovely Bones. I never read it, but I know she writes it. Anyway, back to I like the movie. So back to the show. So the Reavers, this green being comes out, this kind of made of pure light, kind of interesting design. There is something I'm going to talk about, a movie that this reminded me of that isn't super related, but just a lot of the greens and the glowing light greens on the faces. You're getting way ahead of us now. But it was a general look of the creature. So like the green glow it gives off. This reminds me very much of one of my favorite movies from the 80s, and I'll talk about it later.
Oh, wow.
But anywho, the green light emerges. This creature comes out that's kind of made of light and has these weird tendrils. It seems like it's kind of ethereal, made of energy, but the tendrils seem physical, which is kind of strange because like everything is
susceptible to metal,
adamantium specifically.
Yeah.
But it comes out. It starts. It latches its tendrils onto various Reavers, sucking them, turning their eyes green and making them just go limp. Then eventually the X-Men try to battle it, along with Lady Deathstrike. Well, the only X-Men there, I guess, are those 3 X-Men: Gambit, Jubilee, and Wolverine. So as they try to escape, Gambit tries to stay behind to distract it so they can escape. However, Jubilee won't allow him to do that and pushes him out of the way when the creature, which we will eventually know is the Spirit Drinker, and for the sake of simplicity, I'll refer to it as such from henceforth.
Nothing you can do for them now, Betty. You run, huh? I'll be right behind.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it.
You don't want my friends bad. Play with Gambit instead.
He calls him
with Gambit instead.
He calls him stupid.
What, did you say stupid or is bet?
Bet. I think that's stupid.
Oh, okay. Remember our French Canadian or Cajun listeners are tuning in. Let us know if Davin's translation is correct.
I'm working on it.
So as Jubilee does so, she gets tangled up in the tendrils, getting the life sucked from her. As it would seem, her eyes turn green. She goes limp. They take her with them, so they won't leave her there. Although the Reavers don't get such a kindness extended to them, as they're just left there to be.
Jubilee!
So then, for once, you played it at the right moment, because that's exactly what happened. That's not the first time you've actually nailed that right on the head, which is very good.
Yes. It only took 3 seasons and 2 episodes.
But we got there. We see Professor X using Cerebro to see what's going on, and realizing, that this creature has been let loose and kind of mobilizing the troops, as it were, as we cut to old Beast. I'm sure you get some of these clips. Beast hamming it up at the old art gallery.
Oh, it's
you gotta have one of these.
Frankly, I've never been able to tell Jackson Pollock's paintings from his drop cloths.
For a guy like Beast, who's this, I wouldn't say pseudo, I'll say, what's the opposite of pseudo? Macro intellectual, super intellectual.
He's a serious intellectual.
Well, not when it comes to the artistic endeavors, apparently. I mean, he loves Thomas Wolfe, but when it comes to paintings, he's not a fan of Jackson Pollock.
He likes Picasso. Primal.
I would say Pollock is more primal than Picasso. Picasso actually had shape and form. Like, he had their portraits and their flower pots, their starry nights, their skies, their corporeal things.
Well, perhaps you should debate Beast on this topic.
I happily would. I mean, I feel like paint thrown at a canvas is more primal than actually trying to create something in the image of something else. But perhaps
primal images, primal interpretations of Picasso.
of people in dresses posing, of himself, of a sunflower in a vase. It doesn't seem super primal to me. If it was an animal ripping another animal to shreds, or something nude, or sex, or something like that, seems like a primal need. Eating, that all seems primal to me. Anyway, giving birth.
Do forgive me, madam, but it appears I've neglected a most important appointment.
So as we see from the sound clip, Beast is actually hanging out in a museum, talking to this bewildered lady that he seems to have glommed onto, that doesn't seem to be his date, but he seems to be, because she's totally shocked by him this whole time. So I mean, obviously she doesn't really know him, and he's just.
But he's being very familiar.
Yes, like he's like leading her around, showing her stuff, talking to her, which seems like he's kind of accosting her at some point.
Has his arm on his arm on her shoulder.
But then he gets a call from a mental call from Professor X to get back to base because there's doings are transpiring. Those are an exact translation, but something to that effect. So then I love, as you can hear in the clip there, Beast just like kicks off his shoes. I don't know what his shoe budget is, but he's just leaving shoes behind when he's got to get off somewhere. Leaves them in the middle of the floor of the museum. Jumps off a sculpture, like, which he could have damaged easily. Who knows how old this thing was? Do like a little flip and then go right up through the skylight and escape off into his Beastmobile, I assume, which is parked nearby. So he can get back to the.
It's probably no surprise, but I love that scene.
Me too, but it's just so comical. It's like this hoity-toity museum with classical music playing and all these art pieces everywhere. And then he just like kicks off his shoes and does like a loop-de-loop around the sculpture and right out the door. Like,
I just love that he's trying to be like ultra charming, and if he wasn't this giant blue scary man, he probably would be to that particular kind of lady. Like he is quite knowledgeable and can
I don't feel like
wax poetic about the art and stuff.
That's true. I feel like he was just being Beast. I don't feel like it was like him trying to hit on her or anything.
No, I don't either. But I think she would, were he not blue and furry, she would be quite charmed by him. But instead she looks terrified the whole time.
Yeah, which is kind of a nice little juxtaposition of the character within versus the outer appearance.
Yeah, I thought it was nice.
Which is very interesting, and about as deep as you can get on a show like this. But it was like, for those paying attention, there's some interesting. I like when like little adult things bleed through, and maybe they're not as intentional. And perhaps when you analyze things with a fine-tooth comb, like we do in this sort of show, it gives you a little more leeway to see this stuff on a level that perhaps the writers may have intentionally put in there, or may have just bled in because they're smart writers who are writing a show for children. Yeah, it sure is. Dave Cutler chimed in and said the museum scene is this episode's basketball game from the previous episode, which I would agree. It's a nice,
I think.
Well, it's a nice little moment where you really get to see the characters being the characters, not when they're like in the middle of a big fight. Yeah, I agree. I would say it's better, but when they're not in a big fight or something where they're just being all superhero-y, when they're just being themselves, which is kind of fun. I mean, we do get a lot of that with Beast whenever you see that, but I really did enjoy that. I thought it was a great little scene. And then after that, we cut to Cyclops and Jean Grey, as you played earlier, who are having dinner at a nice restaurant, who can never seem to get a moment to themselves.
No, not for very long.
No, as you played there earlier, Cyclops is saying he never thought they'd have another moment like this, and that if it wasn't for Sinister, they might not have had these moments anymore. But they did beat Sinister. It's a nice little tender moment between them before they get their own summons from Professor X calling them back into action. And then them telling the waiter they have
times lately, I thought we'd never be together again like this.
I like the little, it's very Lady in the Tramp. Yeah, you got like the. There's one particular music cue I take a little umbrage with in this episode near the end, and I'll get to that when we get to it. You may know what I'm talking about, but the violin is, I can't remember what the name of the waiter was, but it was very funny. It was something
I do, and I'll talk about that later.
Well, I was going to talk about it too because I feel like our point might be the same. It's talking about what he looks like.
No.
Okay, then our points are not the same.
All right, we'll talk about this waiter later, both of us.
All right. This waiter looked very upset that he had to go pack up their meal into a to-go bag, which is also interesting. Is like if your job is basically saving the world, like you're a superhero, you need to run off and save the world or people in danger, and you're like at dinner and you get a call saying, "Quick, get back to the mansion! Like horrible things are happening." And you're like, "I'll be right there." Click. Can you put that in a doggy bag? I'll just wait until it's ready. Like I feel like there's no time to waste here. You need to
Dave Cutler says, Cyclops, Gene, your scene is boring the children.
Yeah, quick, let's go. But it's also like, well, we'll just wait for that doggy bag, Enzo, while you're doing that. Well, whoever's getting murdered over there, they can hold out for a little while longer. It's like calling 911, and they call the ambulance driver, and then they're like, yeah, 1 minute, they're at like the drive-through to McDonald's. They're like, yeah, I got to get the chicken nuggets. Upsize the fries, whatever. I'm off my diet. Maybe get to the matter at hand. So meanwhile, we go back to the sewers. We see the drinker catching up with the group as they realize they need to destroy it to free the souls of Jubilee and revive her. That's something they kind of surmise because they see in the energy of the creature the faces of people that have been sucked up by it. The Reavers first, and then Jubilee's face comes in a little later. So they realize that their soul.
Body look okay, but there's nobody home.
But there's nobody home.
He said that about Belladonna last season.
Gambit is still one of the funnest voice. I don't know, like just doing his voice must be a real hoot. Chris Potter must be having a field day doing this. I tell you, there's someone there, but nobody home.
We must get out of here.
Yes, Yuriko. They have an uneasy truce with her, of course, as they're running from this thing, which does chase them, and then they manage to. What?
You did get to this part, right?
Yes, I was just talking about that.
Yeah, that part was scary, man. Like the voices they're doing in this.
There's some real horror movie.
Gambit, help me!
Like they always sound so tortured. The Reavers do too.
Yeah, the Reaver voices.
Yeah, I do have the Reaver one.
It's funny with the Australian accent of the echo.
I think they dropped the Australian accent for that.
Maybe that's only something you have in a corporeal form. Maybe all spirits are accentless.
Right.
Although it's very North American to say we are accentless because we have an accent too. We just don't recognize it.
Yeah, I was going to say all spirits sound North American.
Yeah, maybe that's so. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better if all spirits were Australian? Like if you died and then like your spirit became Australian, you like appear to your family in a Ouija board and they're like, oh, we want to speak to Andre. And then I just appear. I'm like, oi, greetings from the afterlife.
I always imagine spirits sounding British myself, but
well, that makes sense because all the old film and books are all the British and ghost stuff. But no, I feel like that. I think feeling better for Australian. Or we had like a ridiculous accent. Like I don't know what's a more ridiculous accent. Not to shit on Australians. I love the accent, but like some kind of I love accents in general. It's great, but I don't know what would be a weirder one to have. We'll just stick with that.
Newfoundland.
Well, Newfoundlander, bye. Greetings from the afterlife. Greetings from the afterlife, there, bye. Kiss the cod. Get the jinx dinner, India. We'll go mummers. Is that what they do on Christmas? They go put sheets over their head and run around the neighbors' houses.
Put a little more salt cat in that jig's dinner, bye.
Oh, there you go. It's a little like Cape Breton. Everybody gets a bit deeper as you go.
Yeah.
It's almost like a weird mix of Irish and or Scottish rather, and like Minnesota. It's like somewhere in between those.
It's like Bob and Doug McKenzie and like Irish.
Yeah, but Bob and Doug McKenzie are supposed to be like
it's like an Ontario
stereotypical Canadians. Like we're all supposed to kind of sound like that. But I like whenever Canadians appear in public and they're like Ryan Gosling will be somewhere and he'll be wearing like a full jean jacket, like in jean pants. So he's wearing like a full, like just out at some red carpet somewhere.
Tuxedo.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's still a little Canadian in there.
Oh man, nothing looks better than a tuxedo.
That's right, especially Canadian tuxedo. So they kind of surmise that the spirits of the people are in there, and perhaps destroying the creature will do that. Gambit Wolverine and Yuriko decide they need to stay back and try to stop it with their claws before it gets to the surface and causes more damage and kills. Has a whole buffet at its service, as they say, and with 8 million people available for it to drink. So Wolverine gets Gambit to run off with and get Jubilee to safety, and they'll stay behind. He says he's only going to do it and then come back. Wolverine says he'll try to save some for him. And they go off to attack the creature, but just as they're about to kind of face off it on its own, when they start to, I mean, they do. There was they did cause a cave in, which
it went under the ground.
Well, no, it seemed to, which means it's smart, because
it came up beside them. Yeah.
So yeah, they caused the cave in. They sent Gambit away. Then they clawed through the cave in to get to it, and they see a big hole in the ground, thinking it went deeper. But then when they're looking down the hole, it comes out of the wall beside them because it can easily meld through walls. Like it kind of makes a big hole.
And Wolverine has a sweet line there.
Yeah.
We're trapped.
I'm never trapped.
I'm never trapped.
Wolverine got a few good lines.
That's a badass line.
I feel like Wolverine said a good line at the beginning of this episode that I can't remember right offhand. But
He did. I have it here, I think. Well, I think it's good. It's powerful.
Have a good look, Yuriko. Here's your revenge. Are you happy now?
Yeah, that's after
like by holding Jubilee, like this young girl that,
Yeah, like there's a wisdom of Wolverine that doesn't get explored a lot because of all these berserker rages. But I mean, there is a wisdom of being alive for hundreds of years that probably people forget about. That you would have seen a lot of things, and perhaps that's why he doesn't chase. Like as we talked before, he doesn't chase after vengeance. He just deals with it when it comes to him, because perhaps there's a with experience and realizing the folly of that after the years pile on.
Oh, and when he deals with it.
We're trapped.
I'm never trapped.
Oh, no. Did I not get that one? Dang.
Come on,
I messed up that sound
Buster.
effect.
Yeah,
Yep, I totally messed up. I missed it. Well, anyway, he calls it an alien piece of gutter trash. Oh, and I don't have that clip.
I like his frame of, like, what's his frame of reference? How many aliens have they encountered besides Mojo, which arguably is a being from another dimension, not so much even just, I mean, I guess technically an alien, but not so like as these not from Earth, I guess would be the broadest definition. So sure, let's go with that. That's really his extent of being experiencing aliens, one would assume. I mean, perhaps in his past, but he's just like, I've seen a lot of aliens, bub, and you're gutter trash compared to all those fine aliens I saw back on Mojo World.
How do we know the Spirit Drinker's planet even has gutters? I mean, he's assuming a lot of things.
That's true. We don't even know what planet it's from. We know, well, we will soon learn more about it. But so they get attacked by the creature. They're kind of almost ready to do their last stand here. But then the rest of the X-Men arrive as Gambit had found them. And I like that Gambit runs up, he's like, look who I found. And the rest of the X-Men are with him, minus Storm and Rogue, of course, who are not in this episode. I'm guessing they're off doing their own thing. So they just have like the body of Jubilee, like sitting on the, like laying on, like Professor's chair doubles as like a stretcher. Like they just have the body over the chair.
And when they put the second body on, it's like, it just weights it down even more.
Because Deathstrike gets drained during this fight. Deathstrike gets drained by the creature as well. And they just set her body on it, and you see it go a little lower, which I think is nice. Like the weight.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. And then Wolverine has a hilarious line.
And this is an old friend. She wants me dead.
Oh, do you have Cyclops' response? Because he says something great to that. Doesn't he say like that checks out, or like another one, or all the rest?
No, he just says like, why does that not surprise me? I think.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, but it's a fun line because it seems like anytime someone from Wolverine's past shows up, it's always.
Well, here's another fun line. It's like the Cyclops' version of "You alien piece of gutter trash."
You miserable piece of slime! No!
You miserable piece of slime. That's a good one. He's trying to be more Wolverine-ish because I think
getting into the weeds here.
Looks up to Wolverine, and he's all like, maybe I just need to put a little more edge on it.
I don't know if I'd say he looks up to Wolverine. I feel as though he thinks he's part of the team.
No, I didn't say he did. I said the team does.
Oh, I see.
Not him as part of that team at all.
But maybe I'm getting a little into the weeds here. But Cyclops like ready to shoot it with his beams, and Wolverine stops him because the spirits of everybody are trapped inside of it. But like, we're not sure that Cyclops blasts or destroy it anyway. And also, the way they stop everybody is by destroying it. So, yeah, Cyclops. David Cutler said Cyclops is also an old friend of Wolverine who wants him dead, which is true.
Fair point.
Well, I wouldn't say he wants him dead. He could have. There were a couple times he could have.
Sometimes he does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's a teammate and a sort of uneasy friend that wants to bone his fiance. So there's that, and that's always good to be.
I always think of that scene from the Whedon Astonishing run. It's in the very first issue, and Cyclops is lying in bed with Emma, and it's right after Jean died again.
Yeah, that's right after. This is the story.
Scott and Emma wake up, and Wolverine's just crouched over their bed, and like Scott looks at him. He's just like, "So tell me, Scotty, what stage of grieving is this?" Yeah. Cyclops just like unleashes on him with a crazy huge optic blast. It blows Wolverine out of the house and across the lawn. And they just keep shooting at him, and it's a crazy.
That was the next storyline right after Morrison's run, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love how
Planet X story in Morrison's run is when Jean died.
I love how comics like because he thinks about it when pictures of him and Jean go missing. Pretty big comeback, Sticky. Dave's saying that when more pictures of him and Jean go missing and they come back sticky, that's what Wolverine's doing. Yeah, like in those comics back in the day when they like, they do this big storyline where the world gets destroyed and the X-Men get all black leather looking because that's what Morrison wanted to do in his run. And then the next episode, they're like, well, the public doesn't trust us because we dress too scary, so we got to wear superhero costumes now. They'll go back to goofy costumes. Like I get the reasoning; it's totally fine, but I kind of like the Morrison. I just really like that story, that whole arc. So maybe
I was
open to accepting more. No, I loved it. Well, also because
comics should be colorful, and what I like about the X-Men is they're like the most colorful.
Those comics, like the X-Men, may not have been, but those comics were very colorful. The designs, like all the other characters, like Lob Herman and all
a lot
these
of
guys
yellow,
that were introduced, and like they're all super cool. Like the Quentin Quire with the pink, purple hair and all that. Like there's a lot of cool. Cassandra Cain and all the stuff going on with her. Like that.
Cassandra Nova.
Sorry, Cassandra Cain is Batgirl. So then anyway, so Wolverine stops from destroying it, even though their way to stop it later is to destroy it, which is interesting. But anyway, they go off fight the creature. The Drinker manages to escape.
But you skipped over Beast.
And where is this grotesquerie supposed space vehicle?
And then him and Professor go off to.
That's the next step because the Drinker escapes first, and then the X-Men go after it, and then Wolverine. Professor, it's all right.
Timing's off again.
It's all right.
It's on, and now it's off.
You got one. That's all you need.
Yeah.
You got one. You're good. You're good for a little while. No more demerit points. I'll clean your board off. I have a little board with your face on it. I just put a tick every time you screw something up. Fucking damn. They go off to so they obviously Xavier got the mental image about the creature from the ship, so they go off looking for the ship to learn more while the rest of the X-Men go off to try to fight the creature.
I like when he says to Wolverine too, he's just like, are you sure it's alien?
Do you believe it to be an actual spacecraft? Well, it's got weird writing on it and had a life-sucking cloud with an attitude inside.
It's got weird writing on it. I just loved his delivery.
Yeah, have you ever seen anything like this spirit drinker, on Earth anywhere, buddy? Like, it seems a little otherworldly to me.
Fascinating.
Yes, it is indeed fascinating. George Buzzard / Beast. Xavier and Beast go find the ship. They find something like the cage within the ship that it escaped from. I'm guessing it escaped from that and then was wandering through the ship before they busted open the side. There's some writing on the thing that Xavier touches, and it shocks him more. But then he can translate it. It says danger in our language, and then it kind of propels him to need to go to a local computer on the ship where he can somehow access it now with some of the knowledge he got with his. I'm guessing it's a combination of his psychic abilities, or perhaps something that is built within the ship to help whoever finds it understand what it was or how to stop what's within it.
I may discuss that later as well.
Well, but Xavier does get flashes as well of other things while doing this, of imagery that we know as comic fans to be Shi'ar in origin. Mostly that guy whose name escapes me.
Deken.
But pardon?
Emperor Deken.
Deken. And other things of an alien nature. So seeing this other species in this race that we're going to get to know later as the season goes on. All dropping little bits, little crumbs that are all going to lead towards bigger stories, as they do in every season, it seems, which is very good writing. They learn that the creature's of a spirit drinker, and it sucks up the spirits, in quotes. I'm guessing souls exist in the Marvel universe of this series because, what else would it be? I guess your consciousness. But then
that's what Mephisto's always after.
How do you steal that, but not the brain? So it's. I mean, in theory, it would have to be the soul or the spirit, if you will, that is being. So that would be comforting because now you know that you have a soul, and if you have a soul, then there's a life after death. So now, I feel as an X-Men, I'd be pretty happy to suddenly have this revelation. I mean, that's mankind's greatest mystery solved thanks to this interdimensional spirit drinker. Now
Well, they would have learned that from Ileana eventually. They have magic characters.
Yeah, but there's always a level of some kind of new ability that's not quite, It's like that line that X-Files walks when it's like, well, is it alien? Is it God? Is it something else? That we don't
Government
possibly
conspiracy.
understand. Yeah, actually, I heard a very interesting way to describe this from Dana Gould, who's a comedian, was on Maron's podcast recently. He does a great show called Hanging with Dr. Z, in which he plays Dr. Zaius from the original Planet of the Apes movies, and just interviews people and does these. He wears the full makeup and everything. But he had a bit about, because he's I guess agnostic, and he said maybe it's just something we don't understand yet. Who knows? He's like, my dog could be in the same room as a computer, have no idea what the computer is, but acknowledge that a computer, that there is something there in that room that he doesn't understand. The idea that a dog can be by something that it could never comprehend, but it's still there. So it's like, who knows? Maybe there's something here we can't comprehend. But we do have confirmation, it would seem, that spirits exist in the Marvel universe. So there is an afterlife.
Fascinating.
So we shouldn't be too sad when Morph dies or any of these people. They get to go be reunited with their loved ones, maybe, or at least explore the universe, or be reincarnated or something.
Get to drink in Valhalla.
That's right. Well, there's no Valhalla. Well, actually, no, there is now. Yeah, so for sure. But somewhere you get to do something. There's more. So that's interesting.
You sure that monster come this way, Wolverine?
Well, there's holes in the wall and everything.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So anyway, we cut back to the X-Men, who are now looking for the spirit drinking, who was getting very close to the so we learned in the ship, of course, that the ship was a prison for this creature. It's never meant to escape. Something happened to cause it to crash on Earth, but it was just supposed to be a roving prison in space for eternity. So meanwhile, the spirit drinker gets into the subway, gets a level above into the actual subway of New York, and sucks up the souls of various people that are waiting for the train. But then the X-Men have a kind of final battle with it, where they manage to work together, and Wolverine gets tossed by it and lands on the third rail, or the fourth rail. Third rail? Which one's the electric one? Third rail? But then the tendril that the drinker had that was on his arm that he cut off gets disintegrated by the third rail. So he notices this and realizes that perhaps the energy from that is enough to dissipate it. So Gambit uses his staff to throw through the creature and go into the third rail, which is the creature's above, and then conduct the energy through him, causing it to explode and dissipate. All the souls, of course, are released, because this is a kid's show. We can't deal with this much death all at once, and goes back into all their bodies. One of my favorite things about this, and I forgot to mention it earlier, is when the creature gets suddenly loose in the sewers, and our heroes and Deathstrike are running away from it. We see it come across all of the Morlocks that are still tied to the wall from the previous episode by the Reavers, and just suck up all their souls. And they have a line earlier where Wolverine says, like, to Lady Deathstrike, "What about your men? Do you not care about them?" And she says they knew what they're getting into. But then she seems pretty upset by it when their soul appears inside the creature. But then also Wolverine says, "What about the Morlocks? Did they deserve it too? Or do they know what they're getting into?" And she says, "Well, they were thieves. They deserved it too." So it's some interesting Machiavellian villain rationale here, which is
and she ended up in that same position.
That's
inside
true.
The spirit drinker.
You will never succeed, Logan. We are all doomed.
So I don't know if that was the drinker itself using their images to mess with them, or if that's actually something she would say, because that doesn't sound like something they would say.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that for sure, because even Jubilee says something really negative to him. She's like, like Wolverine, no, like stop, even though he seemed to be, getting somewhere.
Well, they kind of surmise too that the souls are as time goes on, the souls lose integrity, so if they don't reunite them with their bodies soon enough, they will be gone forever. Somebody
said at some point that we have to get this done before there's nothing left, sort of.
Yeah, essentially. Like it's slowly sucking them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they ask kind of what happened they used to kill it, and Wolverine says it overate, or it ate too much. So perhaps the energy conducted through the staff was too much for it to handle. So then it's gone. Then conscience restored to everybody else. Yuriko says that she will she owes Wolverine her life today, but next time when she's back and her men are back to full force, they'll meet again. and because whatever he did to her father. Now, once again, they don't clear up what happened to her father, or how her father was connected, or how she's connected to Wolverine, or how these two events that seem to occur separately are connected. And just disappears. So, indicating Wolverine still has another enemy in the weeds out there. And then we just kind of a brief flash of some things to come this season, basically telling us, the viewer, with a interesting graphics that shows an animated world with real flames behind it.
Well, before that, actually, I thought they did a funny thing because there were some violent things that happened, like to the Morlocks and Leech and stuff. So they of course dropped the.
Although
All the Morlocks are back to normal, Professor.
All the Morlocks are back to normal. It's like, just look, we didn't kill Leech. We promise you, we didn't kill Leech.
I was going to say that because I kind of forgot about that. It seemed like they just left them all still tied up in the sewers.
No. You don't have to worry.
All the Morlocks are back to normal, Professor.
Good. I was going to lose sleep over those Morlocks.
Yeah.
Especially
all the kids were.
Poor
innocent 90s children.
Did not deserve that. So then we get something which maybe I'll save for one of my points about Death Strike.
I felt things, sensed things I have never known before. Saw terrible visions of beings with ruthless, unimaginable power.
So ominous.
But I fear this was only the beginning.
Then we sort of pan up to look over the Earth, which is animated with real flames behind it, indicating that there's something coming. And then it says this season, this season or soon to come, the Phoenix Wars. Coming soon, the Phoenix Saga. Letting us, I feel like the show was probably very popular this time. I don't know if they needed to do something to show us that if we hold out and wait, we're going to get the Phoenix Saga, which was huge in the comics. So it's I guess that's what the purpose of it was, to know it's coming. But
I liked it, but I might get into that a bit later as well.
Sure, that's fine. I didn't dislike it. I mean, it's kind of cheesy by modern standards for how it was done, but it's it's still fun.
Yeah, yeah, man. I thought it added weight to what they want to be, their big statement storyline.
Well, it's a bigger season,
right?
Yeah, it's a bigger season.
Yeah,
they had the
bigger
Phoenix
budget
and the Dark Phoenix Saga all in the same season, so there's a lot.
Yeah, they had a lot to prove, I think, in this season.
Yeah, for sure.
I missed one.
Oh, David said, "Coming soon. It gets better. We promise."
Oh no, we saw that
one before. Yeah, it gets better.
Yeah, coming soon. It gets better. We swear. Yeah. No, well, let's talk
this
about
episode better than the last one. But yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that for sure. In everyone's favorite segment this week, because I moved that label around.
Everybody's favorite segment.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Ratings from 1 to X. I'll go first. I really like this one, actually. I'm going to give this one a 9. We were quite down on the last one. I gave it a 6, and so did you, the first part of this. But no, this one pulled me right back into this storyline, which is what we were hoping for. And for me, it did it. It had a lot of it had all the things I love out of an episode of this show, which is it had the humor with the beast scenes and some of the quips from Wolverine and even Gambit. Yeah. And even the dinner scene and stuff. Everyone was pretty on point with the humor. But it also had a lot of depth to it and emotional scenes. It just wrapped up the story pretty nice and foreshadowed things for the future. Yeah, 9. This one did it for me. Good job, Len Wein.
I give it an 8. I do think it's much better than the previous episode. I don't think it's 9 worthy, mostly just because I was justified last week in saying that hopefully this episode would clear up some things that bothered me. It didn't. Specifically about how Yuriko's father and Wolverine are all connected and how that comes together. I really feel like we're not going to get an answer on that. Her next appearance isn't until season 4, near the end. I think it's episode 13 called Lotus and Steel. Wolverine goes to Japan. So whether that sums up, that's a long time to leave that old matzo ball hanging there. But regardless, it's a great episode. It gave me some horror vibes. People in the sewer stuck in the sewers running from a monster. Sci-fi origin. I do enjoy all that. I'm a big fan of 80s films that have similar ideas. So I think it's pretty solid. I really dug it. The X-Men get good characterization. We get some fun Wolverine getting to be a hero, make those hard decisions, and and the X-Men working together. And obviously we get a little taste of what's to come by being exposed to what we surmise now. I mean, it's not overtly said, but as we know, there is a Shi'ar ship. So, they're giving us some breadcrumbs leading towards the revelation that the Shi'ar are around, and then the Phoenix Force and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be cool. I'm excited. Yeah, I'd say a solid 8. I wouldn't go 9 because nine's close to godliness, because 10 would be godliness. So
yeah, I was sitting at 8 for a while, but then I was thinking about it more, and even after our banter here and our recap even reinforced it. I liked it. I think David made another comment, but David, I broke the comment section. I somehow made it go blank. So if anyone's commenting, maybe try again, and we'll see if anything comes up.
Our precious comments from our precious.
Yeah,
do we have a name for our
there
fans?
now, and it's just blank.
We got to come up with a clever name for our fans. X-Raiders?
X-Goons, I call them.
X-Goons? I like X-Goons. You can stick with that. Yeah, that is something that was from the episode. Let's stick with X-Goons. That's good. It's not
rock and roll X-Goons.
It's not gender specific, so we can play with that. That's good. I like it. Let's stick with
All right, X-Goons. Yeah. How did I break our comment section? So anyway.
Well, they'll appear on
wherever. Just you and me now, Andre.
Oh God, no! My deepest, darkest fear.
Oh my God, the comments are back.
Oh dear God.
New comments. Oh, how do I bring it up? Oh, they're all back now. All right, it's fixed. Thanks, Dave.
Are we gonna get bombarded with comments now?
No, Dave says he agrees it's better than the first part. Dave gives it a 7. That's good. Well, we have 7, 8, and 9, so you hit the average there, Andre.
There we go.
It's
I love how Dave is like the spectral version of like a spectral co-host.
Yeah, Dave said he gives the last one a 4.
We
gave it 6s. 4. It wasn't great. It was definitely the worst one of the series.
I mean, arguably, I could have went down as low as a 5. I don't know if I go to. Well, yeah, 4's pretty bad. I guess none of our ratings have gone. I don't think have I given any 5s out? I don't remember, but anyway,
you might have had 1. I haven't gone that low yet.
Maybe 1. There's been some not so great ones out there. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but there's been a lot of good ones. So I'd say this one will go up there.
So as if we did Night of the Sentinels as one episode. So had we done this one as a single episode, I would have to take my personal average, and it's in that 7, 8 range. Mm-hmm. For you, it would have like a 7 average.
Yeah,
David would be more like a 5 or something. But so you take the average of the entire story, and it's pretty good.
Dave's a man of discerning taste.
Oh well, yes, you have to be.
He does.
Boy, he's there at Marvel, and we're here.
That's true. We're
in our basements or wherever we are. And,
I'm in my office, sir.
Yeah. Uncanny X Points. We played that theme music, didn't we? You go first.
Sure. All right. I got a few different points I got to try to remember for this one.
Let's talk about the waiter.
Okay.
We both had something to say about the waiter.
Well, the waiter is actually, if you look at the look of the waiter, it's based on Tom DeFalco, the writer of X-Men comics and former editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics.
You could tell that was Tom DeFalco.
I looked up some facts about
it. Okay. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that my eye for Marvel faculty members isn't that high, but he did write the fantastic Spider-Girl series that takes place on Earth, alternate Earth with Spider.
With Mayday Parker.
The daughter of Peter Parker being Spider-Girl.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So what was your point about it? We'll go to your cut to your point.
Alrighty, my point.
Sorry to do this to you, Sydney, but I think you'd better pack our dinner to go.
Sydney,
the Fox executive in charge of this show.
So that's
Sydney. You want her? I went her. You want her?
The look of Tom DeFalco with the new,
yeah. I assume that's who they're referencing because
that is fun.
He was a big part of this show.
Point number 2 for me. The eerie green glow that permeates this episode reminds me very much of a very good, one of my favorites probably. I am a big DeFalco head. Thank you, David. I have a tattoo. This chest tattoo actually isn't an old battleship or whatever. It's Tom DeFalco's face. It's hidden within, but it's there.
He actually has a fan group called Tom DeFalco.
They should be called Tom DeFalconers, and they all take up falconry as well as be fans of Tom DeFalco.
The look, the feel of DeFalco.
DeFalco is a pretty great last name, I gotta say. I feel like that needs to be used somewhere in fiction, not
You
just
should
as
have
an
him on your
obscure
show.
label. I would love it, man. That would be a dream come true. But anyway, the permeating green glow that goes on these characters' faces as the creature approaches. I know I mentioned last episode the character design was kind of based on a creature from Forbidden Planet, old Leslie Nielsen sci-fi thing for the 50s, Robbie Robot. But the green glow reminded me of an not obscure, but a great John Carpenter film from the 1980s called The Prince of Darkness, in which a group of science students discover what's hidden away in an old church, which is what they believe to be the essence of Satan. And it's this green goo inside of a tube. It almost takes good and evil and takes it as a quantum physics look at it. That it's like the inverse of good would have to be evil, and then that's quantifiable by a presence of form. That kind of leads to the attempted release of an anti-god, which would be the opposite of God, with Satan himself being some kind of essence that relates to that. It sort of corrupts the people that are around it and has this thing, but it's all this green glow, which is pretty prominent throughout the movie. And it's a great, fantastic movie that I highly suggest. And there's a group of homeless people that are possessed by it and going around murdering people. The main homeless person is played by Alice Cooper, so you get that too.
There you go. I mean, now you're going to double up on movie recommendations this episode.
Oh, right.
There's a segment for that later.
Shoot. I forgot about the movie recommendation.
Oh, you'll think.
I do have one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Back to me. I thought the animation took a step forward in this one, and maybe it was in the last one too.
I was going to say that too. It's very good in this episode.
Yeah, we may not have noticed it, but like a lot of close-ups with a lot of detail.
Yeah. Wolverine's stubble appears and disappears depending how close up it is, but there's a lot of really good looks of his face, and like there's a lot of creases and shadow that's used in it, which is really cool.
And
a lot more close-ups.
Makes sense because they did get more money for this season because it was a hit. So they're spending the money on animation so far. It's looking really good.
Very
a lot more emoting in the faces, and like the mouths keep up with the speech better too and stuff. It's pretty good.
No, I agree. Very good. My next point is a sound cue that I feel was misplaced or a poor choice by. Do you know what I'm going to talk about?
No.
So at the very I mean, there's some deep racial connotations here. I mean, Lady Deathstrike is an Asian character. However, at the end of the episode in which she says, like, I owe you my life today, Logan, but once we are together, I'll come back for you. She does this little Asian bow, and then there's a gong loudly heard.
I didn't hear that.
In the soundtrack, right? But the second she bows, it's just gong. It's very short of playing the da 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 da. I don't know how much more like on the nose they could have been about the Asianness of that.
It's a sign of respect and a sound of respect, Andre.
Oh, is the gong a sign of respect, or just a cheap way to knock you over the head and say someone's Asian?
It was a way of saying get off the stage in the 80s or 70s or whatever.
Well, the Gong Show, yes, but it reminds me of an old Zach Galifianakis stand-up bit where he would do his whole stand-up while playing the piano. And he had a bit where he would say, I had an Asian roommate, and every time they came home, I would play this. And he played the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun on the piano. And then my roommates say, why do you play that every time I come home? And I say, because I don't have a gong. So there you go.
All right. So is that back to me?
It is.
Which one? What is this one? The third one?
That was my third one, yeah.
Okay. One thing that's funny. I'm not gonna make this my point because I'm gonna take 2 seconds. Professor X's chair has headlights. That's pretty awesome. He flicks them on and they go into the tunnel. That was awesome. Anyway, that's not my point.
That's gonna be a point.
No, my point is gonna be more about Professor though. It's just like because you were wondering, or you mentioned, what happened when he was electrocuted and all of a sudden he could read the language, and I think it's Lilandra talking to him because she has a connection with Professor, like a telepathic connection. And he earlier in the episode, Jean says the weirdest, like she's relaying information from Professor Xavier that he's giving her, and he's just like, the weirdest thing is he doesn't know how he knows any of this stuff. And I just think that's because Lalandra put it there, put it in his head. She's trying to help him, him.
You think so?
She wants to communicate with him, like she's searching him out, kind of thing, because of this connection. At least in the comics, and I think that's how it goes here. Well, I'll get into that maybe more in my next point.
Well, my point is Tasha Sims, the actress, is the voice of Lady Deathstrike, who doesn't appear to be Asian based on her name and appearance. She, I assume she won't be doing this voice if this goes forward. However, she has an interesting resume if you look at some of her movies. Most notably, she was in the early thriller by Christopher Nolan, the remake of Insomnia, which is a Swedish movie that was remade with Robin Williams and Al Pacino, which is very good. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. She's also on the show The Killing quite a bit, which is a popular television show as well. And some very deeply Canadian things like Da Vinci's Inquest.
Da Vinci's Inquest.
Cold Squad. Street Justice, Neon Rider, 21 Jump
First Night.
Pardon? Oh no,
First Night.
Oh man, that's the X-Files as well, which was filmed in Vancouver, and also one of my
Spy Factor. That's another good Canadian one.
She did a lot of voices on Babar, which was a deeply cherished show for me growing up. Yes,
I was never a big fan of Babar.
As a kid, it was I only grew up with CBC and ATV, so I had little options. I loved it. Babar. That was a great show, and a dark show for kids. Like Canada went a little darker with their shows. I know this is an American show that was mostly done at Canadian with Canadian actors, but it was a fairly Babar had some dark moments. The Raccoons had some dark moments. Like there's some deeply Canadian cartoons that were a little more adult, I think, for our kids than some of the ones that our Southern cousins had to deal with. Maybe that's why we're so wise as Canadians. We had to deal with real world implications as kids. We had to deal with existential dread much earlier than our neighbors to the south.
I can't believe what those snorks did to that raccoon.
Remember that episode where Cyril Sneer used his power to have an intern sleep with him? That was a dark episode. That was a dark episode of the Raccoons, I can tell you.
Cyril.
And then Cedric saw it all, and he's like, "Oh, geez, Dad, I don't know if you should be raping that intern."
Oh my God, I don't remember that episode.
Well, yeah, it's there. I
wasn't a big Raccoons fan either.
Oh my God, what did you watch as a kid?
We had YTV, so when the shows I didn't like as much came on,
you're watching all the good shows.
TV. Yeah, I was watching the good shows.
Yeah, well, I got to watch the not.
I was watching X-Men the animated series.
I got to
Ninja Turtles.
I watched those too. Ninja Turtles more so, but I got to watch the ones that filled me with a lot of deep adult dread that I didn't have to, that I had to deal with a lot early, and I probably should have. So maybe that's why I'm the cynical asshole I am today. That
was on YTV After Dark.
That's when the VJs got real blue.
VJ not so fresh Phil.
Yeah, that's right.
Grimy Phil. No. Phil Giroux. Love you.
Yeah, I'm sure he's listening. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Yeah. All right, back to me, is it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, so the images, I'm pretty certain of this, that Professor X sees, it happens fast, so you could think it's just a bunch of random space images that aren't connected, but it is actually playing out a scene. First, it shows Lalandra in her helmet. Then it shows a battle scene between big spaceships on opposing sides, and then it shows a picture of Deken. So that's Deken's forces chasing down Lalandra's forces, and that's the space battle that's ensuing. And so Professor X isn't just getting flashes, he's actually getting information if he can decipher it. I know what's going on.
But why? How? What does it all mean? Whoop-de-doo, Basil. What does it all mean?
Basil.
All right, my final comment is the general feel of that. I feel like there's a well of like in any story that has a genre bend to it of some kind. If they go one way into a genre, they dip into a well. Like for instance, Wolverine in Japan stuff is kind of like Japanese cinema a little bit. You got your Lone Wolf and Cub vibes. It's like a Mandalorian has some of that too. This one kind of really deep went within the horror realm, which I really enjoyed. I would like to see a little more of that, and every once in a while. Next, I don't want to see it all the time because that's not what the show's about. But it's always cool when shows dip into the horror genre a little more. For instance, like the new season of Stranger Things seems to have gone a lot more horror centric than previous ones, and it's great. I love it. So it's cool seeing that bend on this sort of show and what they do with it and how far they can go with it. And I know they can't kill people and they can't do that sort of stuff on a show like this, but it did feel like there was some real fear, and it played well with the characters. So I enjoyed that. I like to see a few more horror bend storylines in the future of the series.
I can't remember the ones exactly, but there were a couple more that we've seen already in the previous.
Yeah.
Bit of a scary bent to them.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. My last point. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna see. Okay, here's an X-Men Star Trek connection. I released one I'm gonna imagine because they have novels together. They're connected. Star Trek.
Fascinating.
Beast and Spock both say that. That's like a Spock phrase too. Fascinating. I think that's Beast channeling his inner Spock.
Could be.
Spock also didn't like Jackson Pollock.
I know I mentioned before.
I made that up.
Yeah, I don't know if Spock has an opinion on Jackson Pollock, but I do like the otherworldly design of. I know we mentioned this last time, but you get to see it a little more in this episode as Yuriko's general design. Like the long arms that don't quite bend, they don't look natural with like the fingers and how much longer they are and how they bend weird on a different angle. I really think that's cool. It's kind of like a weird mismatch of a xenomorph and a human, and I like it. I think there's something really kind of beautiful about the design. Like I don't really like her character design, but there's something otherworldly and kind of interesting about it. It's almost like a weird animal mixed with person thing. It's kind of like Avatar or something, like with the blue people that kind of look like humans but are weirdly shaped.
It was like, again, to your horror theme, a bit of a body horror.
Yeah, which I like. Yeah, it's kind of Cronenbergian, which I think is neat. I feel like you could have leaned a little harder in that, but I feel like the music and the vibe of the episode does a good job of that when showing, like even that flashback when they first see her and she's kind of like in her full glory. It's neat.
Hey, well, that's that. Let's move right along here.
Hey, check this out.
Hey, check this out. This is our comic reminiscences and recommendations segment. You want to go first?
No,
okay, I'll go first. All right, so take yourself back to 19.
He's going to say, "Tell me where, or I'll go too far." Oh no, I'm a baby.
1993 to 19. Take yourself back to 1993. Probably right about where we're at this series. This might be 94 by now. I don't know. But so, Fatal Attractions, a great storyline. Not my recommendation, but definitely read it. That's when Magneto pulls the adamantium off of the bones of Wolverine.
I remember that one. I remember that one very well.
Very good, very good. I mean, I'll have two recommendations. Go read Fatal Attractions. All right. But where I'm picking up is the episode or the issue of Wolverine directly after Fatal Attraction. So him first dealing with his newfound situation in life.
Oh, the adamantium list body he has?
Yes, indeed.
Now,
so, but you see nice Lady Deathstrike art there by Andy Kubert, I believe. No, not this cover. Andy Kubert does the next one. No, Adam Kubert. All right. Anyway, so it's two comics because it's a storyline.
Maybe you can fill in a gap for me in my X-Men knowledge. So when Wolverine started like looking more feral and he was like missing a nose and had the blue mask ripped over
that's when I stopped reading. That doesn't happen right away.
Was that related to him losing the adamantium, or is that something else?
Yes, both. Like,
what exactly was it? If you can sum it up quickly, because I was always curious about that.
I can't because that's when I stopped reading.
Oh, okay.
It's not fresh in my mind. No, but it's something else happened. Like he became more. It fractured something in his mind, and he became more feral. And then he starts hanging out with Elektra, and Elektra helps him find himself again. But as for the whole physical transformation thing, I don't know if that was just an art choice or what. Maybe a listener can tell us. I don't have that information off the top of my head because that's not something I want in my head canon. I like to keep my head canon clear of Hot Claws Wolverine and No Nose Wolverine.
Well, I like that at least it was an impetus probably for their relationship in the Spider-Girl comic that Tom DeFalco wrote, because they have a child together named Wild Thing, which is Elektra and Wolverine's child. So that's cool. Maybe that's where that
There
came
you
from.
go.
We
But
got something good.
anyway, Wolverine 76, 77. He starts off just on a motorbike, and he's
Wolverine has a nice
touring around Canada, and he ends up, Lady Deathstrike ends up hunting him down, but like she finds him, and he's hanging out with Puck and Heather Hudson, the two best Alpha Flight members, I might add.
Oh, come on, Sasquatch is great.
Sasquatch is great. He's number 3, I think. Well, I like Aurora and North Star too. Anyway, there's a lot of good members of Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight's awesome. Go read Alpha Flight. Criminally.
Canada just went by. Go read Alpha Flight. Also,
Wolverine's still Canadian.
So did Independence Day, so you can read Captain America too if you want.
Fair enough. So that's fun too. You get some Heather Hudson and Puck's wearing like a Vindicator style suit. It's like all done up red, sort of stuff. And so Yuriko runs into Wolverine, and he repeats some of the same themes that they mentioned in this 2-parter about her giving up her humanity willingly rather than it being taken from him and that sort of thing. And he pops out his claws because she's going to fight him or kill him or whatever. And she's stunned because she thought they were just something added during the adamantium process, like everyone else did, like he did. But then she's like disgusted by him, like she was there for revenge and all this stuff, but he doesn't have adamantium anymore, which is what her father's legacy was, the adamantium. So that's what she's driven by. So she's just kind of like, oh, sort of like turns her nose up at him, and like her rage sort of subsides, and she's just kind of like, well, but my father's legacy, what did you do with it? Like now she's just mad that he lost the adamantium because
that's interesting. I like that one.
Like, that was my father's legacy. He's just like, it's unreversible, and he's just like, yeah, well,
Wolverine pulled it out, or Magneto pulled it out. I feel like
he pulled it out through my pores.
I feel like we may not have seen the last of Dr. Oyama here, because I don't know, he seemed to have ran and locked himself in a closet before the building blew up, and he didn't really see, he could have. There's a lot of ways he could have escaped, so. I feel like we may see him again.
76, written by Larry Hama, I should say, this 2-parter. And,
great.
The art in 76 cover is great, but the art inside is not really my favorite by an artist I'm not super familiar with.
That's the name. Can you see the name?
I can look it up real fast.
Don't worry about it. You have to get into it.
And then in 77 is one of the Kuberts takes back over, and it's amazing. Let me see the name of this fella here. There's a lot of ads at the start of this book.
Let's see if I can tell you before you can even get to
it. Probably. New school versus old school. Let's see who can get there first. Let's see. Is it not going to tell me?
Drawn by Adam Kubert.
No, it's not.
Number 77 is. That's what it says.
Yeah, 77. Here we go. I skipped over it. It's guest pencils from Tom Coker.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
No, me neither.
Shitting on poor Tom Coker's.
No, I don't want to shit on it. Like the action's good. The feeling is, I can show you.
All right.
It's a little different, because it's Kubert art before this in this series and after, so it's quite a bit different from that, I guess. It's just a bit jarring.
Yeah, the 90s, the art of fill-in artists in the 90s had a very distinct look, and that looks very much like it. Although it looks kind of interesting. It kind of looks like Eduardo Listo or whatever, the guy that does scalps in some of those comics.
Yeah. It's not terrible. It's just, but I do like me some Kubert art.
Yeah. Okay. So as we've established a new precedent of you giving X-Men related things and me giving totally unrelated things, one of my all-time superbly favorite comic books is Lock and Key.
Oh yes.
No, this comic is fantastic.
Not to derail you, but what do you think of the series?
Do not watch the Netflix show. Do not watch the Netflix show. I mean, watch it if you want, but it's not very good compared to this anyway.
Okay.
This is honestly, I was very disappointed by the show, and I don't usually stop watching a show, but after episode 2 or 3, I gave up on that one because the comic is so good, filled with so many dark themes,
mysteries and stuff too,
mysteries and everything, and the show is just kind of like a teen drama. It's not anywhere near as beautiful as this book is. Written by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King, who is his new a movie based on his
Who?
short
Never son of who? Never heard of him.
Stephen King. He's some guy. He wrote some books.
Okay.
Joseph Hillstrom King is his full name. He goes by Joe Hill for his pen name. There's also a movie in the theater right now by Scott Derrickson, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm very excited to see, called The Black Phone, based on one of Joe Hill's short stories as well, which it's got rave reviews, so I'm very excited to see it. But yes, that is my recommendation. Go read it. It is basically the idea is a mother and her two children move out to the father of her children, her husband's family stay after her husband is killed by two students of his. He's a high school teacher. The students murder the father, they rape the mother, and then they seemingly are killed. But then the mother, to get away from all of this trauma for her family, to rebuild his life, go to the ancestral home of the father who had died, known as Key House, in a place called Lovecraft, Maine. The kids discover various keys hidden around the property, which, when used to open doors, give you different abilities.
Sounds like the show so far.
Exactly. So, but I don't remember there being a rape in the show either, and I don't remember all this darkness. Like,
good.
All these horrible. Like, I'm not saying that's the thing you need, but there's like all these complex emotions and pain and misery and losing a loved one, and dealing and so they find out their father had a connection when he was a kid to this place and these keys. And then the person that was an enemy of their father's, who still is lingering on the property, is given a new lease on life and comes into their life in an uncertain sort of way. The abilities of the keys are various, but they're all really interesting. There's one that lets you open your head. You can put a book in it, and then you know what the book is. There's one that if you open the door and walk through, you become a ghost. There's
That's
one
all in the show.
Yeah, well, it's not as good. There's ones that you can become an animal when you go through the door. You can become a bird, or you become there's one that lets you turn giant. There's one that lets you turn small. There's one that lets you swap genders. There's one that confines you to a certain area. And as the comic goes on, they explain what all this is leading towards. But the villain of the piece is looking for one particular key known as the Omega key, which opens the door to a pretty dark and twisted thing that they have to try to stop at all costs. And as the series goes on, it becomes more apparent what that is. But it's a beautiful story filled with complex themes that the show really misses, I find. If you like the show, power to you. Hey, great. But if you watch that and don't read this, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Read this. It's amazing.
Exclusives. I just thought we should address the elephant in the room, because some people may have tuned in expecting to find us with a guest.
Oh,
but
yes.
That's going to happen. Lenore Zan will join us.
We fooled you, motherfucker.
We fooled you.
No, I was kidding. Yes. Unfortunately, Lenore is busy doing a lot of press work for her and work in general and conventions for her work on the new X-Men 97 series. So,
yeah, but we'll see her on July 19th, and so will you. And we'll have a nice chat, and it'll be fun.
Yes, for sure.
So join us then, Sugars.
Sugars, I like that. Sugars.
X-Sugars. That could be our name. I like X-Goons so far.
X-Goons.
You guys like being called X-Goons? Let us know.
I think.
What about you, Dave? If you're still listening, can we call you X-Goon? Is that cool?
I think Dave would be cool with it. I'm sure he's a fan of the comic The Goon. So.
All right, the Goon, or the movie The Goon.
Oh, that's a great movie too. I think it's just called Goon, but anyway.
Yeah, right.
Hey, look who I found coming to join the party.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
Yeah, let's party like it's apostrophe 97. Now, this is kind of going to be a mix of our Rewind 92 segment and party like it's apostrophe 97. But I wanted to play that music, so here we are. We're partying. So, back in the day after... No, you know what? No, this is party like it's apostrophe 97. This is perfect, because this happened in 97. X-Men ends, okay? And then some of the Leewalds and Lenore Zan and also Ron Rubin, I believe his name is, the voice of Morph, move on to Avengers United They Stand, the Avengers' first foray into the animation world. And didn't last that series. Only one season, but Lenore did the voice of Tigra, which is very cool.
Oh,
and
that's cool.
and Ron did the voice of Vision. And I believe there was one more. Oh, the voice of Longshot, also from the X-Men series. Somebody on that show as well. But so a lot of the team transferred over, and I guess had they gotten a second season, there would have been a team up between the animated series X-Men squad and the Avengers United They Stand team.
That would have been fun. That cartoon is actually pretty cool. Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Probably should have got another go than one season.
Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes may have been the best version of the Avengers.
I agree. It's a better show.
Yeah, but still, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. The voice acting's good.
Yeah, for sure. Good cast.
Yeah. So that's that. So, So what that leads me to is maybe in X-Men 97, we'll finally get to see that X-Men Avengers either team up or probably fight. It would at least start as a fight because that's what Marvel superheroes do.
What I really want to see, and now that they can do it because they have everything under their banner, is Wolverine versus the Hulk. I want to see that episode.
Well, that's rumored to be a live-action movie.
They're doing World War Hulk. I think it's confirmed. So I feel like it's going to be wild before they get to it if they do.
I think it may. Is it confirmed World War Hulk?
I believe so.
Yeah, I thought this other one was interesting.
I don't think that's confirmed because apparently Taron Egerton and Marvel are talking about him being the next Wolverine. So that needs
he's only 6 inches too tall, which is better than 9 inches too tall. He's probably fine. He's got the right shape.
That means in another 30 years you might get the midget Wolverine that you've been looking for. I don't mean midget. I mean little person Wolverine, but I mean like a smaller version of Wolverine.
I want a smaller fella. That's what I want.
Yeah. He doesn't look very tall. How tall is Taron Egerton?
5'9".
That's pretty short. I mean, that's
Wolverine's 5'3".
Okay, but that's close. That's pretty for movies. I'm 6'2". And Hugh Jackman was 6'6", wasn't he?
No, 6'2".
I thought he was taller than me.
Maybe 6'4". He's over 6 feet, which is
So I mean, I think
he was the tallest one on the team. He was even taller than Cyclops, which is silly.
Under 6 is fair. I mean, I think that's not bad.
Yeah, I'll accept 5'9".
He's a good actor too, and I think he kind of he's kind of squat. He's kind of squat and stocky a little bit for his size. So I think he kind of looks the part more than Jackman did. Jackman's tall and lean. So.
Well, anyone who tuned in last episode may remember that we have a new segment. We've dropped our What's Wrong with Andre and What's Working with Davin segments for this season, or at least for now, and replaced them with a new segment of which Andre did not enjoy his theme for. So I've redone it. I've gone to work. I put my my head to the grindstone or foot to the grind. What do you put on the grindstone? Anyway, I put my thing on the grindstone, and here we have it.
The VCR killed the radio star. The VCR killed the radio star.
The VCR killed the radio star. It's my VCR with Andre. Is that better?
I mean, I worry about the copyright infringement of playing that particular song, but I do like it. Is it short enough? I mean, we are a review show, which doesn't do the vote, but we are not reviewing.
And also, we crossed that bridge with Root Down last week.
And just for your edification, it is put your nose to the grindstone, is the saying.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I put that on the grindstone.
Your nose. Yeah, so my recommendation...
I should probably spare to take a little off. It's good size.
My recommendation is, and I would actually have a copy for you today if my local Walmart wasn't terrible, but just came out on Blu-ray and 4K, I believe today, is one of my new all-time favorite movies. Like most movie fans, you kind of have nostalgia that fits in with it. So, your top 5, top 10 movies tend to be a lot of ones that you saw when you were younger, or that hit you in some emotional part of your life when you were younger, or something was happening in your life. So a lot of my favorite, if I had to pick a top 5, top 10.
We'll do that one day on this show.
Maybe so. But, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is number one. Obviously, there's The Big Lebowski would be in there. No Country for Old Men would be in there.
Beetlejuice is there for me.
Really interesting choice. I
Oh,
do like that
love
movie quite a bit.
Beetlejuice. I love
However,
Beetlejuice.
there was one movie I saw this past year that I would say would probably be in my top 5 movies. It may eke out near the top, but it might be my second favorite for all I know because I dearly loved it. It's phenomenal. It's by a duo of directors called the Daniels because both their first names are Daniel. And most notably, prior to this movie, they made a movie called Swiss Army Man, starring Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, in which Daniel Radcliffe is a dead body that Paul Dano finds when he's deserted on an island that has magical powers and allows him to, survive, which is interesting. And then the body slowly comes back to life. It's weird. It's a very strange film. But anyway, their new film, which you may have heard of, is called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to see it.
Starring Michelle Yeoh. And
I love Michelle Yeoh.
This movie floored me when I saw it. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going into it. It's also got Jamie Lee Curtis in it, and the actor whose name escapes me, who played Short Round in Indiana Jones, who's now in his 50s.
Oh,
but he's fantastic in it. Apparently, I read somewhere that he did not act for many, many years because he didn't like the depiction of Asians in modern film until he saw.
Wasn't he the kid from Goonies as well?
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I can look that up. But apparently he saw the film Crazy Rich Asians and appreciated that, Asians were given a more normalized depiction in modern cinema and decided to come back to filming. And then in doing so, got this role, which he's fantastic in. To loosely sum it up, there's a lot of really good actors in it. The ones most notably are James Hong, who's been in a million movies. He's always been that Asian guy. He was on Seinfeld.
Just got his Walk of Fame. Seinfeld 4?
Party of Four. He was him. He was in. He was Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China. Balls of Fury. He was in that. He's in a lot of movies. He's in it. Michelle Yeoh's in it, and Ki Hui Kwan, who's the guy who played Short Round, is also.
Yeah, that is the guy who played it from Goonies.
Oh, it probably is then. Because I don't have a lot of reverence for that movie. I think you discussed this before.
No, me neither. I wasn't a fan as a kid. I was more into like Ernest Goes to Camp.
He was Data in the Goonies. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically, it's a woman whose life is rather chaotic. And feels. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis, I mentioned, is in it too. She's fantastic.
Don't spoil it too much because I do want to see it, and I wanted to see it in theater, but whatever.
Yeah, I guess I would say it does a very good job through some fantastical and sci-fi elements of depicting how busy and chaotic life seems on a regular basis in modern society, and how it's tough to keep everything straight when everything is coming at you all the time, all at once. And it's a beautiful movie that has real heart and some real deep emotional resonance on a lot of levels. If anybody's ever felt overwhelmed by modern society, anybody's ever felt not seen by their parents or other people in their life, anybody who it covers everything, and it's beautiful. Like, it's a truly beautiful movie that is batshit, but in such a wonderful way that you can't help but cry, laugh, cheer, all the things you want to do when you see a movie. It's amazing.
Just like this podcast.
Truly amazing. And I can't suggest it enough. Seriously, go watch it. I don't know what platform it's going to be on. I'm going to grab the Blu-ray, but I don't know what platforms it's on. But whenever you can get to it and watch it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I've been avoiding spoilers because I know I'm going to love it and I want to see it. And I'm glad.
Also,
it's nice to see Michelle Yeoh get an awesome lead movie because she's awesome.
She kills it, and Jamie Lee Curtis is awesome in it too. And so is Kwan there as well. He's really, really good. They're all fantastic. Like, there's an actress in it too. She's on The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I don't know her name. But she plays Stephanie Su, HSU. On Miss Marvel, if you ever watched that show on Amazon Prime, she's the Asian daughter of the place that Joe has his I'm free. Is Joe his name? Anyway, Joel has his bar in. So and they have a relationship later on, but she's very good. Another very quick recommendation. I know last week we talked about the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a new episode today, and it just solidifies how good that show has gotten. I don't want to go into a really long thing, but early on in the show, they established Mocklin Society, which are kind of their version of the Cleons, I guess, which are all males. And so all the relationships, males marry males. There are no females in their society.
I liked the first episode that dealt with that.
When they had the egg, did you get to that one?
Well, they had the female poet come out and like defend females.
So that comes back in this episode, in which the two characters have they have an egg. The egg eventually hatches. They expect a male, as all males are born in the society. It is in fact a female, which does happen as aberration. They call it an affront to something against nature. You can have it fixed in quotes and have your child turn into a male. And there's a revelation that the one partner of the two was in fact female when born, but altered. And there's a whole internal debate about whether they should do that. And it's a beautiful episode about essentially transgenderism to a lesser extent. Now, this episode goes full hard into that, where that son now is old enough to know something is wrong with them. And there's this nagging feeling that they are not complete, something is not whole. And there's an internal debate amongst the parents of this person, plus the captain and the second in command, about whether the person should be told. And it's a beautiful story about transgenderism, about not being seen, like about not being comfortable with who you are, about acceptance. And it's honestly, I was tears when I was watching this episode. So it's a beautiful, beautiful show, and it does an incredibly good job of what I feel like science fiction should do more. And I feel like Star Trek sometimes misses, but I haven't watched Brave New Worlds yet.
Strange New Worlds, man, doesn't miss anything, but except for the last episode, what was just Alien and Aliens. Well, where they take social issues that we're dealing with and use that as a stepping off point in a thing. So you think about a narrative. That's what Strange New Worlds.
You think about the society you're living in while watching this science fiction show, and this episode does a beautiful job. Like beautiful. I think it should be nominated for an award. It's amazing. So
well, there you have it.
All right, I've talked enough.
Put my root down. Krakoan root down. Krakoan gardening with Davin. All right, root down. Here we are. Well, let's talk about landscape fabric. So-called landscape fabric. And the charlatans that sell it and put it on people's yards. Okay.
I love that this is the segment. It's like nestled deep within this. No, it's good. I'm not ragging on you for it. I just love, like, nestled in the heart of this nostalgia podcast is the segment on fucking gardening. It's great. It's fucking great. Continue, sir. I'm listening about
anyway.
I'm curious about this paper because I've never used it, but I've seen it in stores.
This landscape fabric, it's no good, man. Anyway, it just strips the soil underneath it of any nutrients.
What's the point of it? What do they tell you? Isn't it supposed to be nutrient rich?
People think it just People think it keeps weeds away and stuff, but it doesn't do that. Like, weeds grow on top of it better than the friggin' ground underneath, and then it strips the soil of any nutrients for the plants that you actually want there. And weed, like I say, I don't like the word weeds. Plants are awesome. Bad. But landscape fabric, man, it doesn't do anything. It's just an expense you don't need. It stops it's like, imagine having like the biome under the ground, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have the biome on top of the ground, the grass and the bugs and stuff. But you also have underneath, you have the biome of the worms and the soil microbes. Now imagine you put like pavement or something between those two layers, right? They're all connected, right? You can't just that's what that does. It's basically putting a barrier between your whole ecosystem, separating like half of it from the other half. And there's never a time when that's a good idea. Just pick weeds. If you get a few weeds, like, you're going to have to rip out this whole fabric anyway, because it's going to be covered with weeds anyway. And your soil underneath is going to be like dust. It's going to be no good. I might get in trouble for this, but that's how you can tell a good landscaper from a bad one. If they say, hey, what you need is landscape fabric, walk away. Walk away and save your money.
Landscaper, I know where I'm going anyway.
Oh yeah, man. It's like an industry
tree service. No, I'm just kidding.
It's an industry scam. I don't even know why it's sold. It's stripped.
That's interesting. I know very little about landscaping, so I'm learning.
What are you gonna learn on this show? Anyway, I might get a little heated on some of these gardening topics.
Whoa, calm down, buddy. You're freaking.
Yeah. homework from Professor Zandre.
Well, your homework is to go watch the next episode of the series, which is the Phoenix Saga Part 1, which begins next episode. So if you're wondering when we're going to get to the Phoenix business, as Dave mentioned earlier, it's coming. One episode away. So when they say stay tuned for the Phoenix Saga, they mean next episode. We are in it to win it. It is happening next.
Wonder if my recommendation is going to be the Phoenix Saga. Anyway,
Probably, I wonder. Maybe
no, I'll try not to be. I'm trying not to be so obvious. I don't know.
I think it could be obvious, but it's fine.
Those comics are worth money. I might have won or something from the run of it, but
I just get ahead of you, and I haven't even probably read it in a million years, so I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Oh, it's gonna be way different. Well, no, you see, the movies do it terribly. Like the Phoenix Saga has a lot to do with the Hellfire.
Well, they did it twice. And they haven't
specifically
done it
Jason Weingard, and they haven't even brought him in yet, or like the Hellfire Club. It's got nothing to do with anything. Those movies.
Right, I forgot about the Black.
I didn't even see the last one. Actually, I haven't seen that newer Phoenix movie.
Not as bad as everyone said it was, in my opinion. It's certainly not as bad.
Doesn't mean it's good.
No, that is true. But it's certainly a lot more watchable than The Last Stand was, in my opinion.
Should we get out of here? Or you want to play a game?
We can get out of here, but we can also play a quick game if it's quick.
All right, I have a game. That's a new game. Oh no, did I not do a banner for this one? Okay, I don't have a banner for this one yet.
Dear God.
But this is the build. It's like build a bear, but it's like make a mutant. We're gonna build a mutant together here, Andre.
Okay.
And we're gonna eventually, through this game, throughout our run here, we'll have built ourselves a customized mutant superhero team that we can call the X-Rated Man.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either. we'll work on that. X-Goons. We'll call them the X-Goons.
Uh-huh.
But so what we need to each pick a power for this mutant. Because we're gonna have 2 powers.
So each mutant in this team has 2 powers?
Yeah, we're only picking 1 mutant. Yeah, well, we'll see how the game evolves. But for right now, we'll each pick a power, and we'll each pick like a physical attribute or appearance point on this.
In what order are we doing this?
Whatever you like.
All right,
you go first.
Physical attribute first.
Yeah.
Mullet. He's got a mullet.
He's got a mullet.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a mulleted X-Men hero. So my physical attribute is going to be strong cologne.
What? Cologne?
Very strong cologne. Neither is a mullet.
Well, it seems like we're working towards a ladies' man here.
Okay, maybe. Okay, if that doesn't count.
No. I like it. Let's keep it. In fact, his X-Men name will be the ladies' man. And his power will be
to buy you a fish sandwich?
He's incredibly attractive to women.
Oh, okay. That's your power? He's incredibly
attractive
to women.
Pheromone of sorts, perhaps related to the clone. Maybe the clone would be a natural musk. We could roll into that. That is pleasing to members of the opposite sex.
Okay, here's the second power. When the sun goes down, his pheromones do the opposite and make him repulsive to women.
That's very interesting. All right, there we go. So we have a mulleted, strong-smelling man named Ladies Man who is incredibly attractive to women during daylight, but repulsive at nighttime. So you can't go clubbing.
Yeah. Definitely not. No,
it's not as good picking up
even like a late dinner or like.
It's like a
lunch dates only in coffee.
It's like a Cinderella where he has to run home before the stroke of midnight or whatever before he turns back into stuff. That's really fun. I like this.
But imagine the team dynamics with like the female characters on the team.
Well,
like, they're gonna hate him half the time, and the other half they're gonna be very, very attracted to him. So it's gonna be
not to give myself extra work, but I do draw. I could draw this team eventually. That might be fun.
Oh, that would be fun. You should start. So there you go. Draw Ladies Man. Start envisioning. And, I could add another thing, because cologne isn't really something you can draw. He just has one of those, just like those little flavor saver beards. He's clean shaven, but he just has...
Soul patch.
That's the soul patch. Okay, yeah, he has a soul patch.
Okay. This.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah.
All right. I like it. Ladies Man.
Please, man. All right.
I'm seeing blue,
Well-
blue and pink in his color design.
Oh yeah, definitely pink.
Yeah. All right, we're there.
I'm still working on the Patreon, everybody, but we're gonna have a more themed tier, I think, once I get this together. I'm hoping in the next couple episodes I'll have that together, and we'll have like maybe a tithe or something themed. Yeah,
We get to the tide.
get to the tithe in the second tier. And this isn't going to be a long running show, so go on there, donate, get your merch. And we'll be over here. It's not like you got to give us money forever. Just get your merch. We'll have our little bit of cheddar cheese off that. And then, I'll get that together. Tell us what's going on the Graphic Histories podcast.
Well, I had to pause last week again, as I mentioned. So this week not this week. Next week will be the regular time for the next episode. So we will be, that episode has been recorded already. So we'll be up, in which I speak with Jeff Smith, the runner of creator of Comic Hunter, very popular comic chain here in the East Coast between PEI and New Brunswick. Not the Jeff Smith that created Bone, unfortunately, although someday I would love to have him on. But me and Jeff have a great conversation about predominantly the need to organize and the fulfillment that comes with helping people fill their collections and find their favorite comics. So it's a great conversation. Jeff's a really cool guy. Loves movies, so we have a great chat about movies too. We have a great conversation.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. You should interview Daryl from Giant Robot Comics.
I'd happily talk to Daryl. I love Daryl. He's a great guy.
Yeah, you guys talk about
I haven't seen him in forever, but yeah, for sure. Oh man, I do not know enough about Transformers to have a full conversation about Transformers.
Tangents. That's what tangents are for. Listen to the Locutors of Trek. Get caught up because we haven't put an episode out since May. I apologize to all your Locutors fans.
Christ, what are you doing over there?
It's I don't know, man. We're busy. Me and Dave get together lately. We've been jamming instead of locuting.
You need an Android to keep you on track. That's what you need.
True. You can need to whip us while we're jamming. Be like, faster. You need to get to the podcast. Faster. All right.
I'm going to your text message during the show. Let's wrap it up.
You just sent me a message.
Oh, I sent you a Facebook message.
Okay. It's a group.
You can look at it later. It's not important.
All right. It's not important for this. Yeah, it's distracting. And he's getting.
Well, I didn't realize you would get a notification that would draw your attention away right away. I thought you'd have it on silent or mute or something. It's just a picture of it. Right. It's fine. You've seen it before.
Okay. Listen to my cousin's podcast too. The Live Long podcast, Trivial Debates, Super Mario Brothers. Good stuff going on all of those channels. I promise you that. Stay tuned for our interview with Lenore Zan coming up in a couple weeks. Join us here next week for, of course, one. And if you like our podcast, like, review, subscribe on whatever platform you come into contact with us. And you can follow us on some of those things like Facebook, Twitch, Patreon. I think Twitch, I don't know. I might see if there's anything else other than that one. We'll see. Anyway, Patreon, YouTube, we're all there. We're there, all those places. You can find the audio-only version wherever you get your podcast, which is how it do us. And, I fix some things. I usually make the intros a little smoother, and then stuff. Drop a little dead air out. I'm waiting to find my sound effects. Okay. Like, review, subscribe. Anything else, Andre?
No. Just be kind to each other. The world's an unkind place, and all we really have is each other in this wackaday world. So, if you can't be in a situation, you can be kind. Don't be in the situation.
Like it.
We must get out of here.
Thank you, Yoriko.
Nothing can do for them now, Betty. You run, huh? I'd be right behind.
Gambit will be right behind us. Oh, I never took that banner down.
Whoops. Place for Gambit.
Sorry, I guess I've been blocking our faces here with this.
It's all right.
Well, people would probably rather look at Rogue and Lenore anyway. So, yeah. Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time?
Yeah. See you on the Phoenix side.
1, 2, 3.